In my last video, I tried touching water in every track in Mario Kart Double Dash, so I thought why not try this exact same challenge with a different Mario Kart game. So if you haven't seen the Double Dash video, I would highly recommend you check it out after you're done watching this one. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you did it. Also make sure to check out the Discord server linked in the description below. It's nothing too fancy at the moment, it's pretty much just a glorified group chat, but I'd appreciate it if you joined anyway, that'd be super cool. With all that out of the way, let's start touching some water. Unsurprisingly, Figure 8 Circuit doesn't really have much water. I looked at the grass out of bounds and even examined the hills by the finish line, but there was just no ponds or lakes or anything like that. To be completely honest, I didn't expect there to be any water in this track, but I tried looking anyway and couldn't find anything. Luckily for me, there's lots of water in Yoshi Falls. Unfortunately, I couldn't completely cover myself in water, but hey, a waterfall works, that's touching water, baby, we got there. To make life even better, there's lots of water to touch in Cheep Cheep Beach. All I had to do was jump a ramp, then I could embrace some of that sweet, ice-cold H2O. Moving on to Luigi's Mansion, this one has a bit of a problem. As I exited the mansion, I noticed this giant pool of mud, and I didn't know if I should count this as water or just regular mud. I ultimately decided that this was water, because mud doesn't usually move on its own like water does. Feel free to debate this in the comments, because there definitely is an argument to be made that this isn't water. Whenever mud gets involved, it just makes things messy, but I am trying to differentiate the different kinds of mud to make things a little bit easier. I tried looking around the rest of the mansion for some more regular water, but there was none to be found. Moving on to Desert Hills, surprisingly there was a lake really close to the finish line. It's honestly kinda weird that there would be a lake in a desert level, but hey, I'll take it. Moving on to Delfino Square, I didn't have that great of a start. There's all this water in this fountain, but I can't reach any of it. So I guess this track just isn't possible. Nah, I'm just kidding. I was able to use this ramp and launch myself into the surrounding ocean around the town. One could argue that I didn't need the ramp to touch the water, but, it was cool, so who cares? Continuing on to Waluigi Pinball, I'll let you take a guess if there's any water in this track. Spoiler alert, there's no water in this track. So, what we'll do is we'll move on, because, I don't want to, take up too much of your guys' time explaining that there's no water in this track, because it'd be pretty useless. It's like stating the obvious. We all know there's no water in the tracks, so we'll just move on, because there's no water in the pinball table track, and I don't want to take up too much YouTube algorithm time, so we'll just move on. Moving on to Shroom Ridge, I really thought there was water in this track. I could have sworn there was a pond or a waterfall or something like that in this general area. I tried looking around the rest of the track for some more water, but I couldn't find anything. I even looked below the cliff, but it's just greenery, so I don't think there's any water here. DK Pass is another very tricky track. It's full of snow, and you need water to make snow, but it's not the same kind of water as the rest of the tracks. Once again, feel free to debate this in the comments, but I personally am gonna count this as water since snow is just made of frozen water droplets, so it's like the same thing, pretty much. Let's just hope moving forward the rest of the tracks have more regular water. Unsurprisingly, TikTok Clock doesn't have any water. No matter where you go, there's not a drop of it to be found. So while I didn't find any water, I did find out you can see the entire track by this ledge. It's all just floating there. Seriously, it just floats. There's no poles or anything. It's kind of cool. Thankfully, I finally encountered a track that had some normal water. If you fall off the ledge near Peach's castle, you can drop into this giant moat-looking thing. Might as well savor this as much as possible, because there's not going to be any more water for a little bit longer. Huge shocker, there's no water in Airship Fortress. Who would have guessed? There's no water on the ship, in the tunnels, or in the spiraling tower. Continuing on to Wario Stadium, we have another mud debate. There is mud in this track, but unlike the mud in Luigi's Mansion, this mud is stationary. This leads me to believe there's more dirt than water, so I ended up not counting this. Like I said, whenever mud gets involved, things just turn into a complicated mess, but I really am trying my best here. There's no normal water either, so overall this track just isn't possible. To make life a little bit easier, there's lots of water at the very beginning of Peach Garden. I drove around for a little bit to see if there was any other kinds of water, but I didn't have any luck. You might say I'm getting a little greedy for water, and you're absolutely right, but we're just gonna move on anyway. When I was trying to touch water in Mario Kart Double Dash, I was surprised to find out that Bowser's Castle did in fact have water, which was a huge shocker. So, I thought this version of Bowser's Castle might have some water, but that was not the case. All I could find was lava, but since the last Bowser's Castle had water, I thought it might apply here, but I guess that was just a one-time thing. You can call me stupid if you want, but they did put water in Bowser's Castle in Mario Kart Double Dash, so you can't really blame me for thinking they might do it again. Anyways, moving on to Rainbow Road, this is another very questionable track. In my Double Dash video, I decided to count this as touching water since you do need water to make a rainbow. However, someone did make a comment saying that any clear and reflective surface can also make a rainbow, so water isn't fully necessary. This is difficult because I don't know how to figure out if Rainbow Road is made of a clear reflective material or water. Hey, editing RobinDunks here. So I was doing some research to try to find out what Rainbow Road is made out of, and I was able to find this one source from the Mario Kart wiki that says, quote, "Its primary features are its colorful surface that appear to be made of reflective glass." So that's all I could find, and it's from a Mario wiki, so I'm just gonna assume it's right. So yeah, I guess Rainbow Road is made of glass, not water. So I'll take the L on that one. Now that I'll be talking about the retro tracks, I'll try to speed things up a little bit since these tracks aren't very long. Mario Circuit 1 has absolutely no water. This place is just a barren wasteland. I remember when I was a kid, I actually liked racing on this track, but looking back on it now, it's pretty boring. I don't know why I liked this. Moo Moo Farms doesn't have any water, which is really odd because you gotta let the cows drink, you can't let them dehydrate. I couldn't spot any water out of bounds either, so I don't think this track is possible. GBA Peach Circuit is pretty similar to Mario Circuit 1, however this place is less of a barren wasteland because there's actually grass and trees here, so at least she's got that going on. More importantly, this track doesn't have any water, so let's just move on to the next one. Luigi's Circuit on GameCube doesn't have any water, but Nintendo is nice enough to add a pond outside of this fence. The only problem being is I couldn't find a way to get out of the boundaries to actually touch the water in the pond. I tried so many times to get around this fence only to figure out that there was an invisible wall keeping me from jumping the fence. I seriously spent a good 10 minutes trying to get beyond that fence, but I just don't think it's possible. To make up for that heartbreak, there's some really easily accessible water in Donut Plains. Granted, it does look really strange, but it's still water, so this counts. Frappe Snowland is also really easy, since all you have to do is turn around and hop the bridge to touch some water. Yeah, there's not gonna be any water in a Bowser's Castle stage. Even though there was water in Bowser's Castle on the GameCube, I don't even know anymore. Let's just move on to the next track. Baby Park on the DS is pretty much the exact same as the one on the GameCube, since you can still see this giant ocean in the background with no way of accessing it. And there's no other kinds of water in the track, so this one isn't possible. Luckily for me, Koopa Beach has lots of water everywhere, so this track is very possible. When I started playing Choco Mountain, I didn't expect there to be any water, only to find out there's a whole lake below this ledge. Also, I don't know about you guys, but does anyone else think the atmosphere of this track is eerily creepy for no reason? Seriously, it looks like it comes out of Silent Hill or something. Yeah, it's terrifying for no reason. Moving on, GBA Luigi Circuit is possible in multiple different ways. Not only is it constantly raining, there's also these puddles of water you can drive through, so this track is very much possible. When I tried Shroom Ridge on the GameCube, it was impossible, and spoiler alert, it's still impossible. I couldn't find a single way to get out of bounds, so the DS version is even more impossible than the original on GameCube. Yeah, this track doesn't have any water, and I'm sure you don't need me to explain why. This track does have mud, but it's more watery dirt than dirty water, so it doesn't really count. Thankfully, Banshee Boardwalk is very easy. All you have to do is drive off the ledge to touch some water. Unsurprisingly, Sky Garden doesn't have any water. I'm pretty sure this track is supposed to take place above the clouds, so I think that explains why. I also wonder why it's called Sky Garden, since I don't think you can grow much in the clouds, but who cares? Mario Kart logic defies laws of physics, so who cares? My bad for even asking. And lastly, Yoshi Circuit is extremely easy. You can touch water pretty much wherever as long as you drive off the ledge. It's kind of unfortunate that this ending was super underwhelming, but we'll take it. Water's water. Even if the final track was kind of lame, I'm glad I was able to touch as much water as I did. I really wasn't expecting this many tracks to be possible. What's even better is that I honestly thought touching water in Mario Kart DS was a lot easier than Double Dash. I mean, sure, I did get some invis walls and things like that, but those were few and far between. Hopefully you guys had as much fun watching this video as I did making it. I meant to upload this video way sooner than I did, but life happened, so I didn't really get around to doing that. But it's here now, so enjoy. At the moment, I don't plan on doing any more Mario Kart challenges like this, but if you guys like them, be sure to comment what other kind of challenges you want to see, and I will check them out for sure. Like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to check out the Discord server linked in the description. It's been a thing for a few months, but I haven't really advertised it that much, but I'd like to see it grow, so be sure to check that out. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it if you did it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, I love you, and I will see you all later.